Tonight at 6, unprecedented technical issues with the Iowa Caucus have voters across the country fearful for the future. Hear from Ohio officials on how they keep our election secure.
And one popular organic food chain announced they're closing their doors for good. What this means for competitors and how it could affect the existence of grocery stores.
And here in Kent State, now they are taking steps to prevent a coronavirus case right here on campus. See how atop the hour.
And with the Senate vote on President Trump's impeachment happening tomorrow, the State of the Union address is scheduled for this evening. A lot in politics. Your Tuesday edition of TV2 News starts right now.
This is TV2 News.
All of Portage County, thank you for joining us this Tuesday evening. I'm Erin Simonek.
And I'm Steffen. Before we get to our local news, we start with a hectic night in Iowa.
With 62% of results, Mayor Pete Buttigieg is leading the Iowa polls at 26.9%, followed by Sanders at 25.1%. Senator Elizabeth Warren is standing third in votes at about 18%, with Biden trailing behind her at about 3%. Nadine, I know you looked into what happened in Iowa. Tell us more about the caucus and what we can expect on our election day.
Thanks, guys. All of the issues and controversy surrounding the Iowa caucus has some voters worried about the security and authenticity of their upcoming primaries.
The Iowa caucus had some technical troubles to begin with when it came to their voting process last night.
What you saw last night in Iowa, obviously unacceptable, but nothing like what happens here in Ohio.
Precinct officials in Iowa were unable to report numbers through the app they had in place, which later caused a delay in results. The app, which was built for Iowa Democratic Party by political tech firms, was designed to add up and report caucus votes at each precinct.
The app, by all accounts, just doesn't work, so we've been recommended to call into the hotline, and the hotline has not been responsive.
With delayed results caused by technical difficulties during last night's caucus, many people went to social media to share their fears for future caucuses and primaries.
That folks that are jumping to conclusions and fear-mongering about this on social media are being deeply irresponsible.
However, in Ohio, the primary elections are ran in a completely different way. Unlike Iowa, whose caucus is run by volunteers, Ohio's primary is run by election professionals and bipartisan teams at all 88 county boards of elections.
And that the way that we do our reporting on election night would never rely on something like a smartphone app. That's not the way that we do it in Ohio. In fact, we have dedicated lines to each county board of elections. They report to us using those on a periodic basis.
And the final date to register to vote in Ohio is February 18th, and the Ohio primary election will be held next month on March 17th. For TV2 News, I'm Nadine Battah.
All right, well, funeral and visitation arrangements are now scheduled for Cameron Hopkin, the honors college student who died suddenly over the weekend. Friends are welcome on Thursday from 2 until 4 and 6 until 8, and again on Friday from 10 a.m. until noon at the Gilbert Funeral Home. TV2 and the Kent State community will continue to keep the Hopkin family in our thoughts during this difficult time.
It's been a rainy day here in Kent. I might look dry right now, but when I walked in today, I looked like I just got out of a swimming pool.
I know. I was tempted to almost film myself walking because I was trying to cover up the hair and makeup and kind of make my way over to Franklin Hall. It wasn't a pleasant experience, and I feel like we haven't seen rain in a while.
Right.
Right. So Grace Prorok, our weather anchor, can explain a little bit more about this crazy weather that's going on. Grace?
Thanks. We are starting to feel the very first effects of Winter Storm Cade. This storm originated in the western part of the country and has been pushing towards the Midwest over the last few days. As an effect, we have some pretty cold temperatures, right around 32 degrees, which is just above freezing, which means we're feeling a lot of rain and a little bit of a mix of snow in there. But I was also feeling that as I was walking to Franklin today, my hair was not having a good day. Although it's 32 degrees, it's actually feeling a little bit colder than that because we are experiencing wind at 11 miles per hour. as you can see on the radar, we have this storm coming all over the entire Midwest. We see it as far west as Memphis, Tennessee, and St. Louis, and as far south as Knoxville and Charleston. So we'll continue to see this as we look ahead. Around Ohio, we're seeing actually a wide variety of temperatures with 54 degrees in Steubenville and a more chilly 34 degrees in Lima. Looking ahead for the rest of the night, we will have a little bit of a break from this winter storm. You see that it'll be 33 degrees with some snow showers at 9, but if I move to the side, we see that we'll get a little bit of break at midnight and 3 a.m. where we see some clouds and just a little bit of that cold temperatures. That's all for my forecast. Tune in as we see how this will affect the rest of our weekend as I give my full forecast in a little bit.
Thank you, Grace. Now into Kent news. 2 people were taken to University Hospital this morning following a crash on Route 16. Police Captain Nick Shearer noted that there were only minor injuries. No names have been released as of this broadcast, and Kent police are still investigating the collision.
Kent State University's sponsored travel to China now has a temporary restriction. This comes after 2 coronavirus scares at Miami University of Ohio. While those 2 students tested negative, Kent State University is attempting to prevent traces coming to Kent State. There are currently no planned trips to China, but there are planned trips this upcoming summer that could be affected. Streetsboro police are looking for 2 men connected to a credit card theft. Officials say men recently used the cards to purchase over $2,000 worth of goods at the city Walmart. Right before the purchases were made, the cards were reported stolen as a part of a nearby vehicle break-in. Anyone with information is urged to call the Streetsboro Police Department non-emergency hotline. And 14 people in Stark County have been arrested in connection with a child sex crime sting, one being a preschool teacher. Officials say that suspects were planning to meet children ranging from ages 13 to 15. Some of the suspects even traveled to Stark County from the Cleveland and Columbus areas. The Jackson Township Police say they are looking into the criminal histories of those arrested and are looking for other possible charges, including child pornography. Ravenna police are now investigating the death of a teenager as a homicide. Dominic Diaz-Francis was found with a gunshot to his chest early Saturday morning after a 911 call was made saying he accidentally shot himself. Police are now learning more details they didn't know at the time and are now investigating the incident as a homicide. The Summit County Coroner's Office is currently completing an autopsy, but the results are not yet available. Still to come on TV2 News, one fast food chain is adding some meatless options to its menu, but for a limited time only. Find out more when we return. And the Twinsburg police are now under fire following their handling of a fellow police officer who was caught drinking in his vehicle on Christmas Day. The details coming up.
Towards the Midwest. Find out what this means and how it may affect us here in Kent in my full forecast.
This is Portage County's TV2, broadcasting from the campus
Strawberries? Okay.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
Thanks for staying with us. The Solon Police Department needs your help locating a missing teen girl. Police say 15-year-old Layla Thompson was last seen on Tuesday morning on Brainerd Road in Solon around 7 in the morning. The teen is described as a black female standing 4 foot 11 inches tall, weighing 100 pounds. If you have any information on Thompson, please call Solon Police.
U.S. Marshals captured 19-year-old Shane Barker, who was wanted for attempted kidnapping in Cleveland, the Metro Parks. In October of last year, Barker was accused of attacking 2 women in Brookside Reservation. He threw the women to the ground, but they were able to escape and report the incidents to the police. Officials did a traffic stop this morning and arrested Barker without incident. Call the police if you know any of other happenings associated with Shane Baker.
A Cleveland police captain who was originally let go on Christmas has pleaded guilty to a first-degree misdemeanor charge of having physical control of a motor vehicle while under the influence. Although the captain's wife picked him up without charges, the department decided to charge John Sotomayor 2 weeks after the incident.
Twinsburg Police Chief Chris Noga said the fact that Sotomayor is a Cleveland police officer should have not weighed any differently in the situation. He was sentenced to a 3-day driver intervention program and fined $500 after changing his initial not guilty plea. And the man who died after being hit by a vehicle Sunday has been identified as 61-year-old Robert Persinger. But police are still looking for the driver and vehicle who hit him. Persinger was found at the intersection of 2nd Street and Grant Avenue. Police urge anyone with information to call detectives Brett Durker or Theodore Davis at the number below. For those who wish to remain anonymous, call the confidential Cuyahoga Falls Crime Fighter tip line at 330-971-TIPS. A reward may be offered.
249 is scheduled for next week. The bill allows sex abuse victims of former Ohio State physician Richard Strauss to sue the university. The bill hasn't had a hearing since last September. Now, this comes after Speaker Larry Householder made a call to action about little to no effort in passing this bill. We will provide updates as this hearing unfolds.
An Akron man is behind bars after crashing a stolen UPS truck last night in Jackson Township. Police initiated a short pursuit around 8 p.m. when they attempted to stop the stolen vehicle. That's when the driver, Travis Lee Anthony Lanier, continued driving on Portage Street, where he eventually crashed the truck. Lanier fled on foot and tried to drive away in another vehicle, but was arrested and taken into custody by police. He is currently booked in the Summit County Jail on multiple charges.
A 55-year-old woman was rescued from a cliff in Lorain County Monday night. Deputies responded at around 7:30 last night to a missing woman in New Russia Township. Officials found the location of the missing person's vehicle and found evidence that she showed she purposely entered the quarry. She was found by the Amherst Police Department inside the quarry about 30 feet down. Fortunately, she was pulled to safety and received medical treatment by 9:30 that evening.
So as we continue to follow this winter storm, we see that tomorrow we're actually going to have a little bit of a break. Tomorrow during the day, we're just going to see some cloud coverage, and it's going to warm up to 36 degrees, which is a nice change from the rain that we were feeling earlier today. As we look ahead at noon, we're going to see the sun a little bit, as it's going to be partially cloudy and 32 degrees. By 6 p.m., those clouds are going to return, and we're going to see that it's 36 degrees. We can't escape this winter weather too long, because by 9 p.m., we're going to see pretty similar weather to what we're experiencing right now. That wintry mix of snow, rain, cold, and wind, and a temperature of 32 degrees. Behind me here is the radar. As we follow this storm, as you can see, it continues to push up towards the Cleveland area, but we will be spared tomorrow, as this is the Wednesday radar. But as we look at the Thursday radar, we see that this storm is going to continue to push up and completely cover Ohio by Thursday. As for what this means for the weather, we're going to see we're going to have that break tomorrow, but as we see the weather on Thursday and Friday, we're going to see those clouds and that wind and that rain and that cold and that snow increase on Thursday and Friday. This weekend, it's going to be cloudy and overcast with temperatures of about 46 degrees. But that weather won't be sticking around for long, because we will see as we will see that we're going to have that rain and that snow come back on Monday and Tuesday. That's all for weather today. Stick with TV2 for updates on this winter storm and how it could affect your weekend plans in Kent.
Thanks, Grace. Now, a Portage County NAACP is focusing on the importance of education surrounding voting. The organization is teaming up with the League of Women Voters to host a Meet the Candidates event February 8th. The event will take place at the Kent United Church of Christ at 9:30 in the morning. Frank Hairston is the publicity chair for the Portage County NAACP, and he said voting is the most important right for African American citizens to gain a voice in the community.
Well, Kent Roosevelt will be holding their 5th annual Living History Museum in celebration of Black History Month. This year's theme is Signed, Sealed, Delivered, and students and staff will be representing African Americans who have been honored on U.S. postage stamps. The museum will be welcome to elementary and middle school students as well as the public and will be available to visit also during lunch periods. And here on campus, students have opportunities all month to celebrate Black History Month right where it all started.
Right, and Kent State has a whole list of events on their website to recognize this special month. Tonight at 6, the university is putting on a Dance Across Culture celebration, and this Friday is the Film Friday in the LGBTQ plus center.
And on top of that, the cultural events continue this month as the student organization Textures will be hosting the Don't Touch My Hair experience February 13th. And you won't want to miss this, the Black History Month 50th commemoration and keynote speech. This takes place February 15th at 4 o'clock.
Coming up, organic food lovers here in Portage County, it looks like you'll be losing one of our primary grocery shopping options. We have more on the closings of a beloved health food store when we return.
President Trump is set to address the nation at the State of the Union tonight. We have more on that when TV2 returns.
Connect to your next and prepare for the fair by attending a drop-in session Monday through Friday in various locations on the Kent campus to get your resume reviewed, practice your elevator pitch, and learn how to research organizations attending the fair. You can also stop by the Career Closet in Swartz 262 right above admissions to pick out free professional attire to dress your best on the day of the fair. For more information about the drop-in session schedule or the career fair, please visit kent.edu/career or register in the Handshake app.
Planning the right amount of food is hard. The Guestimator makes it easy. Just tell it who's coming and what's for dinner. Then it tells you how much to make. And yes, it even plans for leftovers. Try it at SaveTheFood.com.
Healthy grocery options are popular with consumers, but those shoppers are losing another place to find organic goods. Whole Foods competitor Earth Fare announced it's going out of business and will begin liquidating merchandise. Experts say the booming online grocery business is also keeping shoppers from traditional supermarkets. The number of supermarkets in the U.S. are expected to actually decline by 6% in the next 5 years. Researchers are stopping clinical trials for an HIV vaccine. They say it just doesn't work. Thousands of volunteers have been testing the vaccine in South Africa since the year 2016. The vaccine sponsor is the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease. People who used the vaccine were just as likely to get HIV as those who hadn't. Advocates say it's disappointing news, but that they still hope to find a vaccine that still works. And in Washington tonight, the Senate is set to hold a final vote on President Trump's impeachment on Wednesday, but with his acquittal all but certain. But before those votes are cast, the president will join a joint session of Congress in his biggest speech of the year, the State of the Union. CNN's Suzanne Melvo reports.
President Trump will deliver his State of the Union address tonight, on the eve of Senate Republicans acquitting him. The reported theme for the president's speech: the Great American Comeback. And a senior Trump administration official tells CNN it will be forward-looking and optimistic. With the nation watching, Republican senators are urging the president to avoid talking about impeachment tonight.
You know, we want to make certain that we finish up this impeachment, that we move away from this and that we get back to things that people want to focus on.
On the Senate floor, the House impeachment managers and the president's legal team made their closing arguments.
The president has done nothing wrong, and these types of impeachments must end. Reject these articles of impeachment.
History will not be kind to Donald Trump. I think we all know that. Every single vote, even a single vote by a single member, can change the course of history. It is said that a single man or woman of courage makes a majority. Is there one among you who will say, enough?
Those final pitches aimed at senators still on the fence, including Republicans Susan Collins and Mitt Romney, and red state Democrats Joe Manchin, Doug Jones, and Kyrsten Sinema.
I remain undecided on how I will vote.
Senator Lisa Murkowski, like many Republicans, denouncing the president's conduct with Ukraine, but refusing to remove the president.
The president's behavior was shameful and wrong. I cannot vote to convict. The Constitution provides for impeachment, but does not demand it in all instances.
Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying tomorrow's vote on convicting the president should be an issue of conscience for all senators.
It takes strength and courage, even when you know that Adam Schiff is right, which I think a lot of them do, to go against a president who you know will be vicious and unrelenting against you.
Still to come on TV2 News, a Medina animal shelter is asking for assistance after adopting 15 dogs from a breeder. How you can help coming up.
Ball State. I'll preview the matchup when TV2 returns in 90 seconds.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with dachshund breeding.
No.
Let me try. Sarah's bright, but when she's reading, she has trouble sounding out words.
Playing world music.
What?
I give up.
Wait, I was trying to show you how Sarah feels every day. Frustrating, isn't it? Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
And now, your TV2 Sports Report.
Welcome back, Portage County. I am Jack Berney with your TV2 Sports Report. The Kent State men's basketball team will welcome Ball State to the MAC tonight at 7. The Flashes are riding a 3-game winning streak coming into tonight after beating Akron 68-67 their last time out. With a win, they'll improve to 7-3 in the MAC. Meanwhile, the Cardinals won their last game 65-64 over Ohio and look to improve to 6-3 in the MAC this season. Junior Danny Pippen will be a big key in tonight's matchup. He's coming off an impressive stretch of basketball in which he won Co-MAC East Player of the Week after averaging 18 points and 11 rebounds last week. Make sure to follow @TV2 KSU Sports on Twitter for live updates. And the number 3 Kent State women's golf team won its 4th tournament of the season by a 6-stroke margin on Tuesday at the UCF Challenge at the Eagle Creek Golf Club. The Flashes turned in a 21 under par 3-round total to capture the event. And taking a look at the standings, at the individual scores for Kent State, you see Caroline Stromo, the senior, finishing at 6 under. Pim Panthong also had a good round at 5 under. And if you look, you got freshman, senior, and junior, sophomore all across the board. It's good to see talent from each level from the Kent State Golden Flashes. And the PTC leading Crestwood Red Devils basketball team will travel to Atwater, Ohio tonight to take on the Waterloo Vikings. Crestwood is on a 6-game winning streak coming into tonight's game, while the Waterloo are winners of 9 straight. Crestwood will look to get an impressive road win tonight and improve to 16-1 overall in the season. The Cavs were in action last night. Let's take a look at the highlight. There's Kevin Love warming up before the game and what could potentially be his last game as a Cavalier. Here we go, first quarter. Kevin Love backing up, takes the step-back jumper and drains it over the defender. Cavs take a 7-point lead. Moving on, fourth quarter, Chetty Osman throws it up and Kevin Porter Jr. throws it down with authority, but the Knicks are not done. Julius Randle with the dunk there. Knicks take a 2-point lead. End of the fourth, Knicks have a chance to win it in regulation. Morris's jumper is no good. We're going to overtime. Kevin Love in overtime drains the jumper. Cavs take a 1-point lead, but here come the Knicks. Marcus Morris going to work. Crossover, step back, drains the bucket. Knicks take a 1-point lead. Later, the Knicks looking to put the Cavs away, and Marcus Morris is going to do just that. Hits the step back over Chetty Osman. The Knicks win 139-134 in overtime. And that's all I have for sports. I'm Jack Berney. Quick happy birthday shout out to my dad at home. Thank you for watching. Back to you guys at the desk.
Happy birthday, Mr. Berney. Well, the Medina County SPCA is asking for help after rescuing 15 dogs from an overwhelmed breeder. The dogs need a lot of medical attention, and that includes being spayed and neutered, and some will need to have surgery for cherry eyes, hernias, and mammary tumors. With costs estimated to be over $3 grand, the shelter is asking for any donations to fund this medical care. Any dog that is in good enough shape to be donated will be available within the next couple of days.
And could the Stones be rolling into Cleveland? Although the band has yet to release tour dates, many fans are wondering if the Rolling Stones will be making a stop right here in Ohio. Billboards with the band's logo have been popping up throughout the U.S., including the Terminal Tower here in Cleveland. The last time the Stones came to Cleveland was back in 2002. And to put this into perspective, the last time the band was here, I was 2 years old. So if the rumors are true, then start me up.
Well, I think it's going to be a little bit more rainy today, but I mean, hopefully that rain will hold off soon.
I don't know. I think we're going to be continuing to see this storm as we look ahead to the rest of the week. So I would prepare for some snow and some rain on Thursday, a little bit more snow on Friday, but luckily you can expect it to clear up and we might even see the sun for this weekend. So I would enjoy it because it looks like we might continue to see that mix of rain and snow as we head into Monday and Tuesday.
All right, well, that about does it for our newscast this evening. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow at 6.
And you can tune in tonight at 9 for an all-new episode of The Blurb. I'm Connor Steffen.
And I'm Erin Simonek. Have a great night, Portage County.
The inherent right to work is one of the elemental privileges of a free people. Endowed, as our nation is, with abundant physical resources, and inspired as it should be, with the high purpose to make those resources and opportunities available for the enjoyment of all. We approach this problem of re-employment with the real hope of finding a better answer than we have now.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.